Hey, good evening. It's Friday, December 16th, and this is day 16. Earlier, we did day 15 because I didn't do it yesterday, but now we're kind of caught up, so we're doing day 16 of the 25 days of Christmas. And welcome to my channel, Everyday Talk 24/7. Tonight, we're going to talk about Christmas and hope. And what the incarnation, if we're thinking of Christmas in biblical terms, what we're thinking about is the incarnation of Christ. So, as I've been saying, put away all the commercial ideas, even the traditional ideas, sometimes even connected with church, when we talk about Christmas. What we want to be thinking about is, what does the Bible say? And the scriptures talk about the Lord's coming in the flesh. The formal term is the incarnation. Jesus becoming flesh. The wonderful Christmas carol that we sing, which I think we should sing all year long, O come, Emmanuel, is about God being with us and being near with us. Psalm 73, at the end of the psalm, reads this way: the nearness of God is my good. That's the beauty and wonder of the incarnation. Jesus in the flesh is our good. So let's connect that to hope, because that's what we're talking about tonight. And I want to look at Psalm 25. I'm going to read the first 3 verses of Psalm 25. It's David's psalm. He says, "To you, O Lord, I lift up my soul. In you I trust, O my God. Do not let me be put to shame, nor let my enemies triumph over me. No one whose hope is in you will ever be put to shame, but they will be put to shame who are treacherous without cause, without excuse." Notice the 3 points here in these passages. To you, O Lord, I lift up my soul. In you I trust. David is saying, my hope is in you. I'm trusting in you. So that's the first thing we're looking at tonight. Our trust is in God, not in circumstances, not in people, not in the way we're being treated at the moment, not the way that my health is going. You know, remembering when my wife had cancer, her hope was always in God, not in the circumstances, not in the brain cancer. Then, less than 2 years later, when I developed cancer in the lower neck and tongue and in this area, my hope, following her example, was not in my circumstance. God chose to use the medical procedures and whatnot to remove that cancer, at least for a season. It's been 7.5 years, almost 8 now. And it may come back, but it hasn't. But my hope is not whether it comes back or not. My hope is what David says here, trusting in God. Then he says, don't let me be put to shame, nor let my enemies triumph over me. Much of David's life was about this battle. I think one of the reasons that he finally succumbed to sin was because he got tired of the battle, got tired of people triumphing over him. But what David is saying here, when he's thinking well, when he's writing this beautiful psalm, don't let me be put to shame. Don't let my enemies triumph over me, because I'm trusting in you. My hope is in you. And then verse 3 kind of ties it all up for us. No one whose hope in you will ever be put to shame. See, that's a faith statement. Faith is being sure of what we do not see. And so much of our life is contradictory to the promises of this word, or appears to be contradictory. We misinterpret what God is saying to us because we want it immediately, or we're overwhelmed by things that are really, really hard, hurtful things that people say, unkindness. When we try really, really hard and everything just seems to keep on crashing down around us. And we're lost in what appears to be, quicksand. We can't seem to get out. Well, David is saying here, no one whose hope is in you will ever be put to shame. But they who will be put to shame will be put to shame, who are treacherous without excuse. I want to focus on this first line here of verse 3. No one whose hope in you, who is in you, will ever be put to shame. Some translations will here say, instead of hope, they will say no one who waits on you. And there's a very close connection between waiting and hoping. See, it's not sitting and waiting in the kind of modern sense. I'm waiting, I'm hoping it'll work out. But rather, what the Hebrew is conveying to us here in 25:3 is that no one who has that aggressive hope in Christ, who is positive, and waiting in the Lord is not sitting back in the chair sort of rocking. Waiting on the Lord is doing the things that you know He's called you to do. It's being in the battle. These are terms of war, of terms of conflict, terms of taking it to the enemy and coming back to the Lord for strength and energy. This is what Jesus did in the incarnation. As we looked at Ephesians chapter 1, verses 18 and 19, Paul is praying that our eyes would be opened to this amazing promise of God, to His great power. That's what David is here. I'm waiting aggressively while I'm doing what God's called me to do, and then I'm putting all of my eggs in God's basket. Not in the circumstance basket, not in the happiness basket, not in the getting along basket, but all of my eggs are in God's basket. And other people may look at us and think, well, that's foolish, that's stupid. And Paul says in Corinthians that we may appear to be foolish, but we're not, because we are waiting on God's faithfulness. So this journey of hope, as a good friend of mine says, this journey of hope is one that is based upon confidence in God's faithfulness, not in the circumstances, not in the immediate outcomes, not in things going well at the moment, but knowing that Jesus coming, being the incarnate Christ, living among us, dwelling with us, being near to us, that is our good. That is our hope. So this waiting on God, this hope, is a positive, aggressive thing, a beautiful thing, because it carries us through all the mess, all the wrong that is done, and the wrongs are done for sure. All of the circumstance, I talked in the video earlier about the abuse and the scars that leaves. Our hope is in God. And what Jesus came, so that his words in Romans are ones that bring hope, because he is able to work everything according to his plan and purpose for the good of those who love him, for those who trust him, for those whose hope is in him. And we believe the words of David, given to us by the Spirit of God, authored by Jesus Christ. No one whose hope is in you will ever be put to shame. What a glorious, wonderful place to rest. And that's the thought for this 16th day of the 25 days of Christmas. Your hope is in Christ. Just hang on to that. Check us out, everydaytalk247.com. If you haven't subscribed to our post notifications, these Christmas videos will come right to you. Thank you for your support, for your prayers, for just the encouragement, the comments. It really means so much. And Lord willing, we'll see you tomorrow on day 17. You have a great night.